You ever wonder what happened to your old jeans? We've got them.
You see a pair of jeans, you see Stephen Bethel staring back at you.
He doesn't have the word impossible. Everything is possible.
Let the idiot speak. We are in the SEZ in Gujarat. We're close to Kandla port. There are license holders that are permitted to bring in secondhand clothing. The clothing is sorted and graded for reuse markets around the world. But the other thing that we do, which is really exciting, is that we are sorting the clothes that can't be resold for fiber-to-fiber recycling. I would think people would describe me as passionate about what I do. They would probably say that I'm a complete nutter. It would always involve a hat, because there's nothing better than a good hat. From a young age, from 10 onwards, every weekend was spent looking at antiques. I fell in love with things that were old, things that had character or things that had a story. I also fell in love with the idea of finding something in an old box or in an old attic that would be a hidden jewel. And that is stuck in me. We started out early on. I had gone to a warehouse I had walked into this warehouse, and it was a local set of charities in Ottawa that had been collecting clothes. And I walked in and saw all these bales of clothes and the volume of it, and I fell in love. Look at the material, look at the possibilities. There are over 1 million pairs of jeans in this building that are going to be an input to new manufacturing. We're going to make these backpacks. This is fantastic, especially with the inbuilt pocket, and work that into the bag. And even if we get some other brown or darker tones, we'll see what this one looks like. Oh, it's even better. Look at that. Other companies pay a fortune to get that look going. Jaldi, jaldi. Let's do it. As we've become more sophisticated in our ability to make clothes, we've made clothes even more complicated. We use this analogy with clothing is that it's really hard to unscramble the egg. Then there's a conversation about not only what do we put on the clothes, what are the fiber composition, but what are the different components that actually make the item. So much of the clothing is so diverse that sorting and grading at scale, at speed, is really complicated. The really exciting opportunity in front of us is how do we take the material that is in circulation now and figure out how to make it at scale and input to new.
What happens in the site is basically used clothing comes in. We have the sorting and the grading of that, and we separate them for different purposes.
This is really lovely. Mrs. Claus's underwear. Somehow that must have been a purchase by somebody, and it wasn't well received by the recipient. So we received it back. If clothes can't be resold, and if they can't be remade into a new thing, or they can't be a component for another thing, what do we do with the product? And in Sweden, the amazing people at Renewcell have developed technology to be able to used as an input to fiber. You put the secondhand clothing garment in a chemical mash, and it decomposes and takes the elements apart, and then it can be respun into a new kind of fiber. I think what's really exciting is that as these technologies evolve, it will be able to take more and more of a wider array of product as an input to new manufacturing. And the real advantage to this is to lowering our dependence on virgin material. We don't have to use our world's resources to extract things, but we recirculate the material that we have. It is the real last step and critical step in this thing that we call the circular economy. It's not affecting my hat, is it?
In more of a Western society, we have become so obsessed with trend-led fast fashion that after one wear, we'll get bored of it, we throw it away. And I think people need to be re-educated in the value of clothing. We need to go back to quality, not quantity. This is still perfectly good suede. When you remove it from its existing shape, it's just fabric.
If we can start inspiring the conversation about things having another life or the next life, that's the moment where people will stop throwing things in the landfill. It goes back to the days when we were at the antique auctions and I was 10 or 11. You would see value that other people didn't see. If we can do this right, we can have such a positive impact on the environment. If we can figure out how do we use less virgin material, how do we use the existing material, it's not just about keeping it out of landfills, it's about how do we make it an input to new manufacturing at scale.